Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here once again with the Money Trucker podcast, and I am excited because we're still on our Networking 101 shows. Networking is one of the things I love to do more than anything. So we are following the 29% solution by Dr. Ivan Misner. We have had 3 previous episodes covering section 1 and part of section 2 of the book, and today we're going to finish up with section 2, which is really about getting yourself out there and talking to the right people, making sure that you're working your network really well. And then today we're going to focus on stop being a cave dweller, talk about web-based networking groups, and becoming magnetic. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in a minute. Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here once again with the Money Trucker podcast, and I'm so glad to have you on today. We are powering through the 29% solution with Dr. Ivan Misner, and we're talking a lot about what we need to do to be very good networkers, to be exceptional networkers, what we need to do to be part of the 29% of people in the world that have a 6-degree connection to everybody else in the world. That's right. There's only about 29% of the world that has that 6 degrees of connection. The other 31% don't have that connection at all. They do not have anywhere, or that 81% do not have that connection at all. Many of them don't have much more than a 1 or 2 step connection to other people. It requires skill, it requires effort, and it requires a lot of work to become that well connected. But once you are, you shall never want for business ever. You shall, be able to be connected with multiple people, and you'll have great partners to work with. So let's start on today, which gets us into the second half of section 2 of the book, which is, first off, stop being a cave dweller. This has been a huge challenge for a lot of people over the last year. So there's 2 types of people in the world. You have extroverts who love to be out around people, and you have introverts who hate being around people, are petrified to death of being around people, and they do not want to reach out. So over the last year of the pandemic, this has been an introvert's love world because they haven't had to actually go out there and have to interact with people in person. I am an introvert. I am very much an introvert. Most people don't know that about me. Only people that know me really well know that when I am in the midst of a group of people or a crowd, I absolutely am just uncomfortable beyond belief. And by the time I'm done with that networking event, because most of the time I have to act like I'm a little bit more outgoing than I actually am, I am literally exhausted when I go home and have to sit in a quiet, dark room for several hours just to kind of recharge my batteries. That's not the same for somebody that's an extrovert. An extrovert, they get energy from being around other people, so they want to be around other people. So that's why I say this pandemic year, where everybody was locked down for large periods of time, has been miserable for a lot of extroverts because they can't get that interaction from a Zoom call. Introverts have loved it because they haven't had to be there in person with people. They were able to be on a Zoom, and it's like a totally different world for them. They can act like an extrovert, but they don't have to have that uncomfortable interaction in person. So no matter if you are an extrovert or an introvert, we are coming out of the pandemic, and it's time to start getting out there. It's time to get out. I think Zoom is here to stay. I think it is a wonderful vehicle. We do our podcast on Zoom. So we constantly are out there, recording things. I don't do in-person podcasts anymore because it's very inefficient. And, this is a great recording tool. It's a great video tool. So it's much, much easier for me to do podcasts that way. But I just came from this morning an in-person networking group that I ran at one of our co-working spaces because people want to be out there. It's still not to the level that it was before the pandemic, but people are starting to get out, and definitely the people that have that need to be there and to talk and that want to do business, that are interested in doing business right now, those are the folks that are coming out and they're at these events. So it is time to get out. So if you haven't been out in a while, whether you're introvert or extrovert, it's time to get out of the cave. It's time to get out there. And I would be doing that during the summer. Don't get lazy. Don't goof off during the summertime. Get out there and do a few networking events because there's not as many people. So it gives you more chance to really dig deeper with the people that are at that event. I had 5 to 6 really outstanding conversations this morning where I'm setting up one-to-ones with people after that, and it's just outstanding. So you need to start building up your network. You need to start getting out there, reinvigorating, and get yourself back out in public and working with people. Have a checklist for yourself, because I went to my first networking event about, I would say, 3 to 4 months ago. Went to the event, it was the first in-person event that we had with this group in over a year, and totally forgot to bring my business cards with me. So I felt like a novice networker, and I've been doing this for 8-9 years now. I felt like a complete novice because I don't even have a business card to give you. So you need to make sure you kind of make a list of, okay, do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have this before I go out? All right, second is join a web-based networking group. Now, a lot of you out there probably did this during the pandemic, whether you were in a BNI group, which BNI went completely virtual and is just now getting to the point where we're coming back in person. But there are other, online networking groups. And quite frankly, there are other groups now that were formed during the pandemic that are going to probably stay online. I would encourage you to join one, and especially if you can join one where, it's people from all over the country. If you have a business that can do business in all states, it's a great way to get to know people in other states. It's a great way to get introductions into different markets by having friends online. So I would look for opportunities to find the right group that you can work with. And it's the same way that I told you at the beginning in the first show of selecting networking groups. It's the same thing. Give them a try, commit to joining them for, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. All right, let's see how this group is, how they interact. Was I able to establish one-on-one connections with some people? Was I able to start building relationships? If by the end of a month that hasn't happened, that's not the right group for you, and you need to move on to someplace else. You don't need to just keep showing up to the same networking group over and over and over again and not really feeling like you're moving forward. Now, that didn't mean that, well, I spent a month and I didn't get any business from it, so that's not worth it. No, if you're having great interactions and you're doing the work, the business will come, but you've got to do the work and you've got to have the interactions. You can't just show up, talk for 30 seconds about what your business is and expect people to give you business. You've got to do the work and get to know people and do those meetings with them. So I would look for online web-based networking groups, whether they're, whether it's a group that you're part of that is just more of a written, you don't necessarily have online meetings, but it's a group that you can be part of and you can participate in. I think right now that is one of the greatest things that has happened. Social media like Facebook and Google and several of these other platforms, YouTube, which is part of Google, Instagram, which is part of Facebook, have started to, shield people from different points of view and all these things. And so it's pissed off a lot of people. And the internet has kind of weirdly gone back to the way it started, which was a series of little boards, all over the internet of people that had interests, common interests and things like that, where they would participate in those groups. And, somebody might ask a question and several people answer it. So you've got groups or you've got platforms like Nextdoor now. So if you are like a hyper local business, you can go in there, set up an account, a personal account, and you can answer questions for people and just tell them, hey, you know, I'm blah, blah, blah. You can also set up business accounts with places like that. Quora is another great one. Some of the boards that you know, you're seeing the stock trading going on and things like that. There's all these different boards like that and groups that you can find where you might go out and, you know, just join one if it's something that you have an interest in. Maybe it's a fishing group, maybe it's somebody that, you know, a group that's like car buffs, or, you know, like very specific cars. Join those boards and be an active participant in those, because, you know, those are opportunities for people to get to know you. And just make sure that all of those, when you set them up, your profile talks about, you know, what your business is and all that. I would encourage you not to try and sell through those boards. I would just be there as a participant, but make sure that your profile is optimized and it has, you know, what your business is, what you do for a living, you know, links to your website, everything else. Because if you start to be that poignant person that's on the website that is always answering these questions, you'll build a reputation up. And that, you know, the moderator might ask you to moderate a session online. They may ask you, you know, to be one of their top people that kind of moderates the site with them. There's a lot of things like that. But if your profile is optimized, if somebody sees those great ideas and they're like, well, who is this person? And they can click on your profile and see, oh, okay, well, you're, you know, you work with business owners, and, well, hey, here's your website. Let me click on that and then go. Now you're taking them into your world and not into that kind of party scene. The best advice, or the best way I ever understood this, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's a LinkedIn group, whether it's one of these boards, the advice came from Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels. In his last book, Traffic Secrets, he talks about this, and he said, you know, I learned this from somebody who was very good at networking through social media. And he's like, you know, if you're in a group or you're at a networking event online, think of that as like going to a party. And there's nothing more annoying to people at a party when people just keep walking up to them and handing their business card out. I have a rule. So there's always, I have two pockets in my pants, and there's the left pocket typically is somebody that's shoving their business card on me. I don't even look at it. I just put it in my left pocket, and those go in the trash at the end of the event. People who I've had a conversation with and a connection with, those go in my right pocket. So those are people that, all right, I want to make a connection with, or I want to reach back out to, or I want to, you know, take that relationship a little bit deeper. But now I'm taking that relationship into my world. I am bringing them into my house, and we're having more of a discussion. We might be doing a one-to-one. We might, you know, I might connect with them on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. And, you know, then that gives them the ability to see more about my world. But they've kind of given me that permission by giving me their card and giving us the ability to start building a relationship. So that's all about building that relationship with people. It's not about how many followers you have or how many people that, you know, click on a link that you do or whatever. That means nothing. What the meaning truly is driving that down to actually having more of a personal one-on-one relationship. Unless your business is, you know, all online and you really never have a personal interaction with clients, most of us actually have personal interactions, and we need to get that relationship down to that personal one-on-one relationship. All right, the last piece is becoming magnetic. And I can't tell you this better, and I'm going to refer one more book here. If you haven't figured it out, I am like a walking library of books because I have a huge library at home. One of my absolute favorite writers is a gentleman named Dan S. Kennedy. Dan has started his career as a copywriter. He still truly considers himself a copywriter more than anything, but he's a direct marketing guy. He's basically somebody who designs direct marketing, whether it's emails, whether it is paper, direct mail that goes out to people, whether it's anything like that. That's what he does. And he is paid anywhere from 6 figures to 7 figures to a percentage of the gross sales that come in to do what he does. He is one of the top, I would say, 10 copywriters in the world today, and has been doing this for 35, 40 years now. But what Dan does extraordinarily well is he also does what's called magnetic marketing. And that is, you've got to make sure that when you reach out to somebody, so I'll give you an example, and we're testing this in our business, a software called Keep. There's other ones like Zoho and HubSpot and things like that, where you can set up automated responses, automated follow-up routines, and everything else. But it's that magnetic connect with somebody and then make sure you continue to interact with them, whether it's electronically, automated, or whether it is, you actually manually reaching out to them by hand. Dan wrote a book called Magnetic Marketing. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you read it. I think it really takes you into the marketing world and the way to do it really better than anybody else. It is a book that almost always I read once a year at least. There is a very heavily marked up, folded, paper clipped version of it that sits on my desk at home all the time because I refer to it on a regular basis. There are a couple pristine copies at my office and in other places, but that one is my heavily marked up book. The other book that I have of Dan's that I was just telling my intern, I think I have like 6 copies of it because I kept buying it. I don't know why. The book is called The Ultimate Sales Letter, which was written by Dan Kennedy. It was his first real book that became successful. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it if you are a copywriter, which 90% of us should be copywriters. Copywriting is one of those things that you can't really hire somebody out to do for your business because you know more about your business than they do. Unless there's somebody that is just an amazing copywriter that you're willing to pay $30,000 or $40,000 to have them write a letter for you, you pretty much have to be your own copywriter, and it's a great book for that purpose. But it's all about that magnetic. It's all about creating automated systems. So we're piloting a software called Keep right now, which is a software that used to be called Infusionsoft, and that Keep software has the ability to, I could scan a business card in, it will put that information into my database that's in there, my CRM, automatically send an email out to that person and say, hey, I want to connect with you. Let's do a one-on-one. They can even book that one-on-one directly through that email that goes out to them. You can set them up on an automated email campaign that kind of gives them a little bit about your business, kind of does what Russell Brunson calls a soap opera sequence, where it kind of introduces you and who you are and everything else. So that's becoming magnetic. It's becoming that person that is always the one that follows up, is always the one that people want to be around, is always the one that's positive and thoughtful and shares with others. That's all becoming a magnetic person, but a lot of that is just in that simple follow-up that can be automated so that you don't miss it. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. This is, the fourth in the series. We've got several more shows going. The next section will be section 3 of the book. So we'll do that on the next show. We're doing these every 2 days. So just keep track of this. Make sure that you sign up and subscribe to our channel wherever you're watching this, whether it's on one of the podcast channels, whether it's on Rumble, or whether it's on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel so that you can stay on track with all the new stuff that we've got coming out. We are literally doing a show every day going forward. So keep your eyes out for these, and we'll keep you up to date. We'll do some more book reviews down the road, but we're going to finish the 29% solution out first. We also do shows on Fridays around finance, and we also interview entrepreneurs. So it's a hodgepodge of things, all about entrepreneurs and trying to help you be successful and get out there and grow your businesses. And we're there to help wherever we can. So thanks a lot for showing up today. We will see you back here next time.